Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday Temperature Check with Proposal Industry Experts. I am Rachelle Ray, the Chief Baker's Officer here at Proposal Industry Experts. I'm also the Head of AEC Marketing Innovation at Open Asset. And today I am not flying solo. I'm very excited. Ben is still off on grand adventures, but I have Chris and Ceri here with me today, and they are really wonderful guests. We're going to talk about some really exciting things. We have so much to cover, so I'm just going to turn it straight over to them for introductions. Ceri, want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I'm Ceri Mescall. I'm the Managing Director of Strategic Proposals Canada. We're a proposal consultancy and APMP accredited training organisation. I've been in proposals 19 years, love to talk about it, love to write about it. So you might have seen me present before. In terms of PI involvement, I've previously appeared on one of these where I was less prepared than I am today. I've also presented at RF Win and used to be one of the Baker's Dozen, so happy to be back. Thank you for the invitation.
Very happy to have you. Chris, you are also not new to the Temp Check, but do you want to introduce yourself anyway?
Yeah, I'll do this quickly. So Chris Basilla, I'm based here out of Montreal, Canada, not the 51st state. And so, yeah, I have my own consultancy practice for the last 4 years, helping companies with bids and proposals and AI implementation. Much like Ceri, I love talking about proposal every day, twice a day, and on Sunday. Yeah, I'm looking forward for this conversation. It's going to be good. The topic that interests me a lot. So yeah, I'm happy to be here. Rachelle, thanks for the invitation.
Absolutely. Very excited to have you both here. Maybe we should tell people a little bit about why we have two of you from different consultancies and different walks of proposal land on together. I hear that you are both not just self-proclaimed proposal nerds, but you're also very curious about a very specific topic.
Ceri, you want to take this one? I'll add to it while you're stuck talking to me all the time.
Yeah, so I think, so both Chris and I are really curious about AI and automation. Obviously, over the last couple of years, seen just this explosion of AI and automation tools for proposals. And, having a number of chats together, we realized that we could combine our efforts. So, market scans, research, analytical mindsets, and obviously the real world proposal experience to see what was out there with the aim to help teams make smarter, unbiased decisions, not influenced by vendors on AI and automation tools.
Yeah, I mean, just to add a little bit to that, also there's a lot of strong connection in terms of values and the way strategic proposal works and Hovestor, as well as like the combined experience, because when we're looking at the tools in the market, it's very broad and very wide. You got the business to government, business to business, different type of proposals. So, we figured like a combination of, our background. My background is a lot more on the business to government. I believe, Ceri, you're more on the business to business commercial. So it made a lot of sense to combine our effort to help the community with something that we think is a big challenge or a problem right now, which is finding and implementing AI tools and AI solutions.
Awesome. I'm going to close the door. I, unfortunately, working from home, have furry coworkers that are very tough. So sorry. They're normally very quiet and sleepy in the afternoons. I don't know what's got them all riled up today.
That's good. It's all good.
So,
No worries.
Ceri, you guys mentioned AI and automation, and I know we talk about this a lot in PI. We talk a lot about it just in general as a proposal community because it's evolving very rapidly. So, can you talk to us a little bit about like the biggest challenges that you're seeing teams face when they're trying to pick the right tools?
Sorry, did you ask me or
Chris? Do you want to take this one? I think you done.
Sure,
Chris,
no problem.
You've done more of these calls in terms of the challenges.
Yeah.
So if you want to take this one.
Yeah. So as I mentioned before, I love talking about this stuff. I'm trying to be concise and summarize in terms of like some of the biggest challenges, and I grouped them in different categories. And the first one is what I call like analysis paralysis. Too many options and no clear winners, right? So you've seen this information overload, so many tools out there, and how do you even begin to think about which one is the right one for you? I'm of the mind that the tool is probably not the right way to start solving this problem. And Ceri can talk about people and process in a second. So the first big challenge is really this overload of information, and it's becoming very confusing. The second one is vendor bias. I cannot tell you how many demos I've been on in the last couple of years. Well over 100, 200 demos, and vendors obviously they want to sell their tools. They have innovative ideas, but it's hard for somebody who's in the market to choose when you kind of start hearing the same thing over and over again, and there's very little discrimination and differentiation in the marketplace. So that's another challenge I see. Another type of challenge I see as well is this shiny object syndrome, and I was victim to this. Right, I remember like 2 years ago, the first couple of demos I've been on, I was like, wow, this is cool. Like it can do this and it can do that. And you really get easily excited by the opportunity and the ideas. And you forget that, at the end of the day, you need to match the tool with your needs, or your needs with the tool. It depends how you look at it, and workflows as well, right? So it's not because it's shiny, it demos very well, that it's necessarily a good thing for you, the right solution. Another one I see, and this is particular for our industry, as you both know, this RFP bottleneck. We're all very busy, and Rachelle, you talked about this a lot, mental issues and burnout that we have because we're overworked. So how do you expect somebody who's working already 40, 50, 60, 70 hours week in and week out to actually carve out time from their personal time away from their family and kids and activities to find, to go and search for this AI and tools and so on and so forth. And lastly, just to compound this problem is, once you found the right tool, now you have the challenge of adoption. So even if you choose the right tool for you, I would argue that it's really a change management problem that you need to solve, and it's all about how you go about doing the adoption. We can talk about this all the time, but the adoption challenges are very real, and we all know too well we have some tools that are collecting dust. And so anyway, I'll close here for this part, but these are some of the challenges I see right now.
I feel like those are all pain points that I feel. Yes, you just spoke directly to my heart, Chris. I don't know how many messages I've gotten in the last 2 years from people being like, "Oh, you want to tell me about, like, let me tell you about my product," or "Hey, you want to take a look at this," or "Can we chat through your challenges?" Like, no, I'm not going to help you build a tool for me.
Yep, that's exactly it.
And I think the adoption thing, we've talked about that in quite a bit, that an alarming number of technology adoptions fail, and why it's so important for us to get it right in this new like AI era. So I think this is really important, and I'm really glad that we're having this conversation. When organizations think about AI, I think the focus is usually on like selecting the right tools. Makes sense. Um, but you believe that successful AI adoption in proposal management depends just as much on people and process. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so I can take that one. So yeah, I've felt the pain of this firsthand with like general technology implementations. Like I'm thinking back to 2019. At the time, I was an employee, and Microsoft Teams was implemented at an organizational level, and people just didn't know what to do. There was a resistance to change. People weren't trained properly, and I'm seeing the same with AI now. So my opinion, it's a mindset shift. It's also sometimes a shift in how we do things, so workflow and process, as well as team dynamics as well. So on the people and culture side, like I said, it's a mindset shift. So are we operating with a growth mindset? Are we embracing change, embracing that kind of mindset of experimentation, continuous learning, or are we feeling threatened and wanting to kind of hunker down and do things the way we've always done them? training and career growth. So, how are we seeing, or how are we going to see maybe some of the more entry level roles in proposals? So coordinators, analysts, apprentices, their list of responsibilities shift, because some of the things that they're kind of cutting their teeth on now, we're starting to use AI tools for. And then from a team buy-in perspective, if people don't trust or understand the tool, they're not going to use it effectively. So lots of stuff on the people, and trying to build a house on a really shaky foundation. If you build or you implement an AI tool on top of a broken or inefficient process, you're just going to create faster chaos. So embrace existing workflows where you can, but also think about, do we need to refine our processes before we implement a tool, and then come in and start to evaluate the technology and the tool, so that you're not kind of putting the cart before the horse with selecting a tool and then trying to cram in all this important stuff after the fact.
I feel like that could be an episode on its own, or maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
My brain's immediately like, okay, proposal managers are probably like very ready to adopt a technology if they're looking for it. They probably have a pretty good handle on their process pain points. I can't even get my SMEs to like work in a collaborative Google Doc, and everyone has access
Hmm.
to Google Docs. How the heck do I get them to go work in the fancy new AI tool, right? So I'm curious to see how that's going to shake out. Same thing with just like understanding, where your pain points are within your process and like how to identify those. Again, could be a follow-up thing. If you have any thoughts on those, feel free to throw them in. But if we want to table them, and y'all can always come back. We can.
Yeah, no, I think Rachelle, the
Yeah,
last
I
point
think.
that go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, I think a couple of like few suggestions for exercises that you could do there in terms of the people and culture side. Thinking about stop, start, continue. So what do you want to stop doing that's not serving you right now? What are you not doing that you want to start to do? And what is working? What do you want to continue doing at a cultural level? So think about behaviors, and then from that start to draw some AI use cases. And then another one, like you've mentioned, different roles in the process. Maybe do a role swap exercise. So you come together within a workshop, but you almost pretend to be the other role. So proposal manager, look at things from the point of view of a salesperson. Maybe a SME, look at things from the point of view of a proposal manager. And it just builds a visibility of each other's challenges, and empathy as well, which I think is going to be the key to any successful tool implementation. Otherwise, you're only going to serve proposal managers, which, as we know, if you've got a SME that is not going to use the tool, it's going to end up to be more of a hassle for you than if you had them bought in the first place. So.
Totally fair. Totally fair. Empathy is my preferred approach as well. So I'm glad you said that.
Mhm.
Before we go on, we got a really, really interesting question in the comments. Douglas asked if we can advance junior team members faster with the right tool in place. Do you think that's possible?
Jerry, you're shaking.
I
I
think
go
so.
for
Yeah. Yeah. No. I think so. I think a lot of the more tactical tasks that coordinators, analysts, apprentices were doing, we can now obviously use AI to do. I think we can elevate people faster to be doing more of the strategic tasks. But that kind of thing, a lot of it, I don't think can be taught in a course in the short term. It's going to be, we'll save the time using AI to do those tactical tasks, but to really bring people up to speed on the strategy and the interpersonal skills, that's going to be a lot of role models leaning in, coaches leaning in, mentors, and sponsors as well within an organization. So I think it's a different type of investment in learning and development. But one, I think, if people do lean in and invest in that, I think we're going to see people being more useful and feeling more useful in proposals a lot quicker.
Awesome. I feel like that again is that could be a whole session.
You can invite us back if you want, Rachelle. We'll happy to come back and talk some more.
Absolutely. Because we're a little bit short on time, I want to jump to the next question because I'm really curious about how you assess the AI tools that are on the market right now.
Yeah, I'll take this one. So from the get-go, as I start doing a lot of those demos early on, I figured that we need kind of a rigorous hands-on approach about if we want to build the kind of a methodology to do this. I have a competitive intelligence background, so I like to look at a market and carve it out and segment it. So the first part was doing market research, and I would say maybe over 100 plus AI-powered tools in the proposal space. Identify, the vendors and the emerging innovators and who's who out there. So just and that mapping is actually very dynamic, I should mention, because this is not like a snapshot that you do it once and it's done. So every week or second week you have new vendors coming in with new ideas. Some of them are a copy, but so you need to understand, or map out, at least have done a research. Then the next step I would say is doing kind of a technical analysis to understand really the underlying technologies behind those tools. So you hear a lot about machine learning, natural language processing, generative AI. There's also predictive AI, rule-based AI, different type of technologies, and each serve a different purpose, right? So you're not going to use, for example, like generative AI to do, prediction on bid no bid decision. That'd be like just crazy, right? So a good chunk of time understanding and carving out, talking to founders and account executive and people in different organizations to be able to kind of suss out and understand how this maps out in their solution. And this gives you pretty good insight as to what problem that they're trying to solve, right? And then the third step is really, like, as I mentioned before, I love talking about this stuff. A lot of direct vendor engagement, product demos, but also one-on-ones. Like, I'll call on some CEOs, say, hey, tell me more about your stuff. How did you build it? Why did you build it? So that was important as the third step, to have a direct engagement, not just put a hypothesis out there and just go with it, right? So a lot of validation, I would say. It's a validation stage. And then once we had all this information, and this was built over, like, I would say 12 to 18 months. This was not done overnight, right? And then we had to come up with a vendor evaluation framework, looking at different pieces of the puzzle, right? So different categories, as like I said, mentioned, technology. Is it scalable? Is it secure? What are the performance metrics, right? The second one was product feature, ease of use, customization, collaboration capabilities. After a while, you start to get pretty good at deciphering those. Another point, the third one I want to mention is very important, is vendor viability. It's no secret right now, there's a lot of vendors out there, and I would venture to guess, I have a pretty good suspicion that the market will consolidate over the next 12 to 18 months. So why do I mention this? Why this is important? Well, let's just say, you decide to go with a vendor, and you spend a lot of time researching and demoing and proof of concept and so on and so forth, and then 3 months from now they disappear. So this is not a good thing. We know that the vast majority, that's my opinion. I'd love to be proven wrong, but there's too many vendors right now in the market. So you want to bet on the right horse. And so that's very important to understand the founder's background. Have they built technology before? Do have experience in bids and proposals? If not, are they surrounded by people that know that space very well? So that's very important, because you want a solution that works for the bid and proposal community, not for something else, right? We can talk also about, like, in the framework, about implementation and deployment efforts. This will vary. It's kind of a spectrum, right? Some are easier to implement, specific tools, and some of them are more platforms, and the implementation and integration effort is longer. So that's important to decipher as well. And rapidly, I know time is short, so I'll go quickly. Commercial considerations. What's the pricing model? Is it on a seat base? Is it on monthly revenue, is it on usage? There's different models out there, and some work for some companies, some don't. And yeah, so this is like, we mapped this to the challenge that we talked about before to discovery calls, and we're able to come up with like an evaluation grid and help us kind of put this together. So in a nutshell, again, I can talk about this for much longer, but this would, I would say, kind of synthesize a little bit our methodology.
I'm so glad you brought up the viability because I literally had this experience this week. I was using an AI survey tool to collect responses about a workshop I'm going to be doing next month. And someone emailed me and said, I can't access this link. And I went to look at it, and this company seems to have just disappeared. Are they still accepting my monthly payments? Yes. Their website down.
Oh,
Yes. We're having a great time trying to cancel that subscription. But yeah, poof, they were there last week and they're gone this week.
Yeah, I mean, on that point, Rachelle, I would say, like, in my opinion, 8 out of 10 companies will fail in the next, or disappear in the next, like, 12 to 18 months, maybe 2 years. And so you have 80% chance on betting on the wrong course. This should not prevent you from from actually getting a solution, but it shows the importance of doing your due diligence and having asked all those questions some of them I've talked about before. So there's a big risk element there that we have to be mindful of, in my opinion.
Well, I agree. I'm the tech gremlin of the Pi group, so we know that if someone's going to find that company. But to your point, it's really important to have that understanding and that experience. So can you tell us a little bit about your solution to this, which I think would be my proposal pathway, right?
Ceri, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, so I can summarize this pretty quickly, but happy for folks to reach out afterwards. Just DM either of us on LinkedIn if you'd like some more info. But my proposal pathway, it's not an AI tool. First of all, it's a service, 3-step service. Step 1 is a self-assessment. Takes about 15 minutes. It's an online survey. Basically asks you a bunch of questions about your proposal complexity, your needs, your budget, the industry and sector you operate in, etc. And it will match you with usually between 2 to 5 AI and automation tools on the market. Step 2 is that you get those personalized tool recommendations. That's instant, and that's based on the over 400 hours of market research and demos and things that Chris spoke about. And then step 3 is a 45-minute consultation with either Chris or I or one of our colleagues, which is a tailored session to discuss and refine that short list of tools, and to discuss adoption strategies as well. So always a human in the loop. It's not just an algorithm telling you which AI tool you should have, which would be a bit meta. But also it's an independent viewpoint, right? So we are completely vendor agnostic. We've not taken payments or kickbacks or referrals from vendors to be included within our service. Our price point is $500 US, which we think is a steal. So yeah, all of that, and obviously, access to experienced proposal professionals, who've seen what works and what doesn't in the real world, versus, without being disrespectful, some of the tech vendors who are, software development, at their core rather than proposal experts. So yeah, that's my quick pitch. But if you want more information, contact either of us or go to myproposalpathway.com.
Awesome. This to me does sound like a steal to tap 400 hours of you guys doing all of this research for us. But as a marketer who does a lot of things by myself, my question to you is that some people might push back on this and say, well, I can do this research myself. Do you have a response to that?
Yeah, so I actually do. If I can take this one. So the first one is, it's not because you can do something that you want to do it. So the question is, if you have 100, 200, 300 hours to spare, you think about your hourly rate, let's just call it, I don't know, $50 or $100 an hour, that racks up in the thousands of dollars of missed opportunity. We're busy, first of all, so we don't have the time. But even if we did, you're missing out on revenue generating opportunities for a fraction of the cost, right? So yeah, sure, if you want to do it, there's a lot of smart people out there. You can go and research it, but I don't know that that's the best approach. You're also gonna run into some vendor bias. So how do you tell which one is the right solution for you? So a lot of due diligence is required. So I would argue that for the price point that Kerry mentioned, $500 to get your 3 recommendations that you can refine with experts is is really a steal compared to do it yourself. Unless you can do it in less than 5 hours from beginning to end, I think it's a pretty compelling value proposition. And purposely we priced it so low, so because we wanted to help the community as well, right? So we could have charged a lot more for what the value we're providing. So we think it's a no-brainer. But hey, if you have a few hundred hours to spare in your time, go ahead and do it. So that's in a nutshell. That's what I would say.
Fantastic. We are coming up on time, but we really do like to close out every episode with a tale from the pitch. And Ceri, I think you have a doozy for us.
I do. So this is going back a few years. So hopefully, even if the person was listening, they wouldn't feel like I was telling tales out of school. But I was coaching a presentation team for orals. There was a technical subject matter expert who was basically the lead for one of the sections within the presentation, not a natural presenter at all. So we spent a ton of time coaching him. One of the points that we coached in terms of his body language is he kept turning his back to the audience when he was presenting in rehearsals. So we kind of managed to coach that out of him enough, wished them on their way. They went to the client site to present. It was summer. The client said, we've got a kind of outside area which you can wait in while we're finishing up with another vendor. This guy sat down on a bench, didn't see the wet paint sign, felt something a little bit off, stood up, had white gloss paint striped up and down his back. Didn't have time to change and didn't want to dip out of the presentation because he was our technical guy. So went to do it. But that encouraged him or forced him not to turn his back on the audience because he didn't want them to see the paint on his back. So that's my tale from the pitch, and I must reach out and see how he's doing and whether he ever recovered from that. It was a retention proposal, and we did win the deal in spite of the pain. So all's well there as well.
My first question is, did you win? Because, oh, that poor guy, that had to have been mortifying. What a hard way to learn that lesson. Oh my goodness. Ceri, Chris, it has been absolutely wonderful. If people want to connect with you or learn more, I know, Ceri, you gave us a website, but if they want to find you, if they want to chat with you, where can we find you?
As for me, I think the best way is LinkedIn, Chris Basilla. There's only one, I believe. Just send me a friend's request or whatever you call it these days. Send me a chat, and I'd love to talk about bits and proposal or anything else. So it'd be cool. So that's the easiest way to catch me.
Yep, same here. Just send me a connection request or follow me on LinkedIn, and feel free to ping me. Let me know what you thought of the discussion today. Happy to help and continue the conversation.
Awesome. Thank you both. Before we all go, a friendly reminder that our user experience in proposals panel is tomorrow, and we have the amazing Brianna Carter, Ida Chineman, and John Barker coming together to think tank what proposals could be if we didn't really have any restrictions. So that is tomorrow with Pine. It is posted on LinkedIn. It's in our community. We hope to see you all there. Otherwise, Ceri, Chris, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck with my proposal pathway. It sounds like everyone's very excited about it, but
Thank you.
we will see everyone next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.